The House is expected to begin voting on that stimulus bill in less than an hour from now. The Senate will vote on it tonight. Now, we've heard from Congress and the president that doing nothing is not an option. But our next guest disagrees. He said that doing nothing would be better, and history proves it. We're joined by Robert Higgs, editor of the Independent Review and senior fellow at the Independent Institute. Mr. Higgs, thank you very much for joining us. We have been led to believe by the president and many leading Democrats that doing nothing will cause widespread economic catastrophe. You disagree?
Oh, yes, of course I do. And even if that were true, it would be necessary to take a remedial action that promised to be effective, and the stimulus bill is not such an action.
Why not? You know, do you think the economy doesn't need something to get it going again and make sure that people do remain employed?
It needs something, but what it needs is to make adjustments to all the malinvestments that took place during this long artificially induced boom between 2002 and 2007. In a boom like that, a lot of bad investments are made. A lot of projects are begun that are not really viable. And when it becomes obvious that they're not viable, we have to have bankruptcies. We have to have resources reallocated. And if we simply spend money trying to prop up anybody and everybody, it really doesn't help to do what is required, which is readjust the economy structure
but how long
to
would
the
that
realities.
take? So it sounds like you're of the camp that we will need to go through, or we need to go through more serious pain. How long, let's say, it looks like the bill's going to pass, but let's say we didn't do anything. How long would a severe downturn be? Some people say Great Depression. We've heard that from the president.
Well, I don't see any reason to expect a Great Depression from the evidence we have before us at the moment. There's a tremendous amount of fear-mongering going on by the administration and by others to make people believe that we face something like the Great Depression, because that gets support for these actions such as the stimulus bill. But if you look at the stimulus bill itself, what you see is nothing that's really calculated for economic rationality. What you see is one of the biggest pork barrels in all of history. You see enormous amounts of money being devoted to enriching every interest associated with the Democratic Party and support for its election.
Yep.
So this is not going to be the kind of spending that moves the economy in the direction of readjusting to the new economic realities.
You know, and it's interesting, too, last night on Cavuto, I interviewed Sheila Jackson Lee, Congresswoman from Texas, and I asked her a very simple question. I know you've debated what the difference is between the bill and not doing anything, but how much debate was there in Congress about the negative effects of the bill itself, right? There's always going to be a negative reaction, higher deficits, maybe hyperinflation, whatever you want to call it. She kind of danced around the topic. You wonder if they've actually said, okay, here's the risk of not doing anything. And by the way, here's the downside of the bill, because if there was no downside to spending $1 trillion roughly, we would just do it all the time.
People are acting as if this is free money.
What is free? Because most of the Congress people aren't going to be in Congress, maybe not on the planet, when the pain is going to be felt.
They're not going to feel the pain, but other people will. If you look at this stimulus package, you're looking at what amounts to more than $10,000 of additional debt for every average family of 4 in the United States. And I guarantee you that very few families in this country would be prepared to sign a note for $10,000 in order to get what this stimulus package will give them.
Well, you know what it's going to give them? It's going to give about half the country the ability to pay no net income taxes. That's what it's going to mean, Robert Higgs. But we'll talk about that some other time.
It's going to hand out money to people who aren't paying tax, but it's going to hand out money to a large number of interest groups and to virtually every element of the welfare state. What we have now is a gigantic welfare state. We need to reduce that. We don't need to make it even bigger.
And it only amounts on average to $13 more per worker per week. All right, Robert Higgs, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Take care.